Hi Caleb, I thought it might be easier to just show you a video of the Audiomoth and particularly of the housing which I've created to put them in because it's homemade and I just want to make sure you've understood how it's made so you can keep an eye on how it's performing. So here's the Audiomoth, which I think you've probably seen already. I've numbered them all, I've given them each a number down here. The ones I'm sending out go up to number 20. So it has the switches on the side here, and I think I'll just be sending you written information about how to use the Audiomoth itself, but just a couple of things to show you. It uses a micro SD card, one of these tiny ones, and that goes into the slot on this side where the image of the micro card is, and it needs to go in with the contacts facing upwards, and it's quite a narrow little slot, and you just got to make sure it goes into the slot itself and not under the slot next to the board, and it goes in with a click and it comes out with a click. Okay, so that was just on that. It's the type of micro card which needs to go into a hopper like this, and then that can go into a normal SD card slot, and there's lots of hoppers included with the shipment. The Audiomoths take 3 batteries, which is a bit awkward. It's not a whole pack of 4, but it's not a pack of 2 either, so you just have to manage with that. It's a bit of a squeeze, so that's like that. And there's a little piece of software to install on your computer for programming the programming the Audiomoths, and you'll need to have that with you quite close to the point when you're going to deploy them, because once you take the batteries out, it forgets all of your programming of the settings. So I'll just take those out for the moment, and I wanted to show you the housing because the housing is what's going to keep these dry. And I found a little project box this size, which the Audiomoth fits into very nicely. Quite a lucky fit. So what I've done is I've put a little piece of foam into the bottom of the box, and then the Audiomoth sort of squashes down, and it stops it from rattling around inside. And then I've drilled a hole in the lid. So I've got nice waterproof boxes, and I've gone and drilled a hole in the lid all the way through with a countersink, so it's got a nice sort of, and that's for the microphone. So on the Audiomoth there's a little microphone symbol there, just about see it, a little hole, and so that microphone needs to sit under that hole. If it's off to the side like that, it's not going to work. It needs to sit under the hole, and when you put that in there, it can slide over a little bit. So what I've done is for the lid, I've modified the lid. So here's a modified one. I've put in a little plastic baffle, and that's just glued in. So that's not going to be terribly strong in that position. So treat that with care. And then lining up the microphone here with the hole here, so it needs to go in that way up. That sits in quite snugly, and it doesn't move around nearly so much. And the microphone will be lined up over the hole, under the hole, and then that all sort of fits together quite nicely like that. Now that's obviously exposed to the rain, so what I've done is I've used a small circular plastic label, sticky label. I'll just get one off from here. The only one that's hard to get off. So that's and that sticks over that's stuck over the hole. So I've already done that on all of them. So you've got a finished product which looks like this with the labels over. But those labels might come off. So I've sent you a bunch of new labels They should be water resistant, but you might need to replace those. As you can see, I've numbered them, just put a 12 on the bottom and the back, and I've labelled numbered the insides as well. And in terms of closing it up, these boxes would come with a screw which needs a screwdriver, but I've managed to find some little nuts, bolts like this, which can just be screwed in by hand, so you're not having to carry a screwdriver. So you make sure that's closed up, and you need to go around and just check that it is clicked shut all the way around quite nicely. And then if you just press it down, because there's a bit of resistance from the foam, and then you can just screw those in. Probably finger tightness is all that it needs, just up to the end, and then you can do the others like that. Okay, so you just need to take care with these nuts, because they're not metal, they're plastic, so they won't be endlessly durable. I think they will manage if you screw them in not too well. You need to do it as tight as you can, but with fingers, I think. But if you over tighten them, I think the thread will get stripped off that. So just a question of care. And again, I've supplied you with lots of spare ones of those. And then the only other thing I think to say on these is that the waterproofness comes from a seal. A silicone seal. So when they arrive, when I bought them, they were like this, with nothing in there, and I've had to push in a silicone seal all the way around the edge, and then once it gets all the way around here, I've had to then trim it to fit. And so somewhere around the edge, there's actually a join. Might be able to just see the join there. But I think the point is that when you're using these, when you're putting them together, you just want to make sure that seal is in place and it's clean. It hasn't got any bits of dirt or anything, because it's going to be clamped up against this edge. So that edge sort of goes into and pushes down against that seal, which is what makes it watertight. I don't think they are waterproof. I don't think you could really put them underwater and hope that they're going to be okay. So make sure they're not somewhere where the stream is going to go over the top of them if it floods. But they should be water resistant, so they should withstand rainfall and things. But you might want to position them so that this hole is perhaps pointing downwards a little bit, so it's not getting rain falling directly onto it. And that would be good from the point of view of the sound recording. So that's how they are. They're coming to you. They're actually all packed into the little pouches that they arrived when I bought them, so they're all packed up like that, so you can hold on to that pouch because it just provides a bit of protection when you're transporting them around. And the other thing is I provided some cable ties, so I'll just show you what I've got with those so you understand what they're doing in the shipment. So a cable tie, which is one of these things with a one-way ratchet. So once it goes through there and starts to, well, what I'm suggesting is you put it through this mounting hole here, and then this can go around a branch or of a tree nearby, and then when you tighten that up, that won't come undone, and it's a very, very strong thing. So you'll probably need to take a pair of scissors or a knife to cut through it to get it off again. So that will then be spoiled and you won't be able to use that again. So it's plastic waste, I'm afraid. But you've got two mounting points, so you could use two, you could just use one. But I think probably two is better, so it's held tight. Otherwise, if it moves around, it's going to create some noise during the recording. The only other thing to say is I haven't provided any batteries for these. I think they need to use alkaline batteries, so as we discussed, you'll need to buy Duracells or something locally for those. I think probably one set might last for one deployment, but we need to look at that together. I have provided a spare SD card, so it should be possible if you needed to go once they've been deployed, to go into the forest, to remove the SD card from here and put in a fresh one and move the unit to a new location, so you're not having to bring all the SD cards back out, get the data off onto your laptop and then take them out to the forest. So you should be able to go out and move them, switching the SD cards to a new one. I've put a number on these, and the number is the same as the number on the box, and I've written the number on the SD card that's inside, but the spare SD card, the second SD cards, I haven't labelled those up, so you probably want to label those, because actually one of the big challenges is going to be managing all the data and being really efficient with your filing system and naming and keeping track of which SD cards and which recordings came from which locations, because that could be quite hard to keep control of if you're not organised with it. Okay.